Welcome to another episode of Unscripted with Marilyn Morales, where I am your host. Today's guest is someone that I recently met. We were together on a meeting for another organization, and immediately she and I connected. We have very similar experiences and life experiences as well. And we totally connected, especially when we talked one-on-one. And I knew I had to have her on my show. So let me share with you my next guest, which is Tina Kadish. She is a business coach, author, and speaker. From joy to joy, offers the tools from job to joy. Let me correct myself, job to joy, offers the tools and strategies to help individuals discover their passion, live their purpose, and create prosperity in their life. She has over 20 years of experience in the corporate world, similar to me, as a talent acquisition strategist and a training and development professional. She is also the author of Freedom, 7 Steps to Thrive in Life and Business, and From Pain to Peace, a mother's heartbreaking journey through losing a child. As a business coach, she empowers new or aspiring female entrepreneurs create a successful business that brings them joy, freedom, and prosperity. Her mission is to empower women to maximize their potential, find freedom, and live more purposefully. Let's welcome Tina to the show.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you, Marilyn, for having me. It's such a pleasure. It's an honor to be here with you, sharing
Well,
the stage.
Thank you. Definitely when we met one-on-one, we knew that we had a lot of synergies, right? We connected on so many different points, especially both of us being bereaved moms, right? And that whole journey with that. So share with my viewers about you, what you do, and what led you on your purpose.
Okay, so thank you so much again. So my journey began when I was laid off from the corporate world. I was in training and development, and I was a single mom with 2 kids at the time. And I had recently been promoted, and I found myself after 9 years working for this organization that I was laid off. So for the first time in my life, I had been laid off. I had never been laid off. And so there was a lot of uncertainty, fear, and anger, to be honest with you, on how could they
Right.
do this to me.
After so many years
And
of service, right?
after so many years of service. And so in my journey of self-discovery, I did some research and learned that a lot of women are stuck. They're unhappy with their careers. Now, I love training and development, but I found myself in transition. And so I really started to do some research, and I realized that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I discovered my passion was to be an entrepreneur, that I wanted to help women find their passion because they're going through the motions, they're surviving, they're not thriving.
Right.
And that's when it began, that I realized that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, sharing my message to other women.
Right. Amazing. And funny is that yesterday I was just having this conversation with someone else about the corporate world, whether it's corporate within my own field, which is healthcare, corporate within other types of organizations, and the dedication that those in those roles have to their jobs, sometimes to the detriment of their families and relationships. Right. And then
Yes,
at the end, something like this happens where you're let go. Right.
exactly.
So talk to the viewer that's looking at us today, and they're there and they're in this corporate world and they are totally 100% dedicated to their profession and to what they're doing. What advice would you give them?
So here's the thing, because I was one of them. I mean, my work ethic, I was, working in the
Mhm.
city. I commuted an hour and a half each way to get there. I was really committed to my job. And this is for all of you that are listening. Yes, we have commitment to our jobs, but don't make that your identity. I want you to all
Mhm.
realize that your job is not your entire life. This is something that I've had to learn myself. We have different areas of our life. And
Right.
what are you doing to take care of yourself? What are you doing for you? Because they're taking care of themselves. The bottom line is they want to, they're building a business, right?
That's right.
Well, we as individuals, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to really, do things that we love to do, that feed our soul. What is it that excites us? What did we desire? So I want everyone to, I have various tools on helping women find their why. What are their values and strengths, and align your values with the right company. And because I'm not saying that everybody needs to be an entrepreneur, but are you
Right.
aligned with the company's values? Are you
That's right.
going every day happy with what you're doing? Because you can make money following your passion. Because I've gotten this, from people like, well, I have this dream to do this, but how am I going to do that? How am I going to make the money? Now, we're all motivated by different things. I used to be
That's right.
motivated by money. Money is not my motivator today. It really isn't. Because you know what? You may have all the money in the world, and I was making very good money when I got laid off. Okay. But when I got laid off, I realized I wanted freedom. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in the driver's seat. You see, I didn't want to be in their seat being told
Right.
what to do. And just in one day, my life changed. In a blink of an eye, everything changed.
Right.
So, so the advice for everyone is really write down what is it that you want to do? What do you desire? What brings you passion? What excites you? What's your vision
Right.
for
Listen,
life?
you said something very impactful that is staying with me. Your job is not your identity, right?
It's not.
And because I've used that, nursing to me is not what I do, it's who I am, right? And I've
Hmm.
made that my identity, right? But
Yep.
anything in excess is bad for you. Anything,
Hmm.
even water.
Yes.
Our bodies are made up of 70% water, right? But if we drink
That-
too much of it, we could drown ourselves, right? By drinking
yes.
and
Yes.
altering our chemistry. If we anything in excess is bad. So and nurses and healthcare providers are very much that person that to our own detriment, we will not eat, we will not go to the bathroom, we will to be in the service of others, right? So we've taken it another step. I can still say I'm a nurse as my identity because it's something I enjoy doing. It's truly who I am. But I
Hmm.
can also take care of myself to make sure that I don't harm myself. Can you speak on that?
Yes, because that is so true. Because something that I've learned along the way, because after I got laid off, I took about a year and a half off and started my business part time. But I did go back to a job. Okay, I'll be honest with you, because of fear. And my business wasn't sustainable at the time. So I did go to a talent acquisition position. I stayed there 11 years and until 2018, that, no longer in the corporate world. Now I'm a full time entrepreneur. But a lot of times we stay in places, and I was one of them, building my business part time, but I was comfortable because I went to a job. I was making also very good money.
Hmm.
And when I, exited the 9 to 5, was I making that money? No. But what happened was my health started to take effect. My relationships with people was taking effect because I wasn't happy
Right.
with that job. Every day I was going in miserable. So when you're going in a job, you're miserable, frustrated. I was good at it. My identity was, yes, I was a recruiter. I was good. I was helping people find jobs.
Okay.
However, I wasn't happy from within. And when we're not happy from within, because it all begins from within, all right, we may appear on the outside, everything's good, we're happy, but are we really happy inside? Are we really doing what we love to do? Because it's going to take effect. It's going to affect your health. It's going to affect your relationships with people. People don't want to see a miserable, unhappy person.
Right.
All right. And you got to take care of yourself first. You are number one, so that's why self-care is so important. And even like today, as we're sharing, I lost my daughter 3 years ago, and the trauma of losing a child has
Right.
affected my health. That's a
That's
whole
right.
nother topic. Because when we're not taking care of ourselves internally, it's manifested on the outside.
Absolutely. I always say that illness begins in your energetic field first before it hits your physical body. And when you
It does.
accept and understand that concept and know that you have to do things to protect that. So because if you're no good, how could you be good for anyone else? And when you have other children and other responsibilities and other important people in your life, we have to think about those things as well. So you were bringing me to my next point, that other thing, a blink of an eye, right?
Hmm.
In a blink of an eye, your life changes. It did for me too when I lost my child. It did when she got the diagnosis, and we share that as well. The diagnosis of that C word came
Yes.
first, right? So that
Yes.
changes you. That
Oh,
catapults you into a
absolutely.
whole different mindset. Fear being the first one,
Oh, God,
right?
yeah.
Loss of control being the next one, because I'm sure you, just like me, we're control freaks, right? We
Yeah, and
like
we're
things.
mothers, we're mothers, we're protectors. We're supposed to be protecting. We're supposed to be the
Yeah,
one that keep them safe. And we lost control.
right. And in the blink of an eye, our lives change forever.
Yes,
Right.
it did.
So
Yes, it
then,
did.
and for many people, not just us, when we look back at the last couple of years in COVID and how many people unfortunately passed because of it, our daughters were because of cancer. A lot.
Yes.
And then the other C word is COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
C word
Yes,
is a curse. So
it
COVID and
is.
cancer in the last couple of years has affected everyone globally,
It has. It
globally,
has. It
beyond the
has.
Americans, every country. I don't think that there was not one country that wasn't hit, one place on this earth that wasn't hit. So we all know and feel that, and now collectively understand that in a blink of an eye, our lives can change, right? So the
Absolutely.
most important thing is what is take stock, right, of your life. What is important? You help people figure out what's important in their lives.
I do. I do.
And
And
how do
that
you
I'm
do
very
that?
so I do that by helping them, really get deep into what is their why, their passions, what is it that drives them, but also how do I help them overcome the barriers? My book that I wrote about freedom, 7 steps, is really about the inner work that needs to be done because one of them is mindset. In my book, I
Yeah,
share about mindset, and it does begin here. Like as we're going through challenges, we're always going to have a challenge. How do we react to that? Are we going, because I was going through solution oriented throughout my whole daughter's journey, 8 months, that she was going through the cancer journey. I never, ever went into that pity party. I never went into that, oh, why? Yeah, I did say, why us? Okay. We
right.
do. Why us? Why us? Why did
That's
this
right.
happen to her? And I had to really, I was solution oriented. My mindset was all in the solution. Let's fix this. Let's get through this. Let's
Right.
stay strong, courage.
Right.
And so
Right.
in my book, I talk about, because there's a lot of barriers that keep us from following our passion, living
That's
that
right.
life. And so whatever challenge we're going through, I've lost a job, I've gone through a divorce, I've lost a child, I've had health challenges, but my mindset, my faith, because the first step in freedom was my faith. And my faith, even with my daughter, it's really what kept me going, was my God. I'll be honest with you
Amen.
here.
Amen.
That's what
So,
kept me
so
going.
my next question. You're just like segueing right into my next question. See how
Okay, good.
connected we are, people.
Yes, yes, I
We're
can
so
see that. I
connected.
feel the energy, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
energy.
absolutely. Because we're just going right into the every next question that I have for you is I
Yeah.
was going to ask you about your faith and how that contributed. Because one of the first things I was asked after losing my child is how could I still have faith? Were you ever asked that? And what was your response?
Yes, that's a very good one because I'll be honest with you. I never envisioned that I would lose my daughter. And I prayed for a miracle. We prayed for miracles. And the day that she passed, I literally took the Bible and I threw it away. I
Hmm.
really did. I was so angry.
Yes, me
But
too.
connecting me with ministers, going to church, connecting with people, going to grief counseling, going doing Bible studies. I really needed to understand why did this happen. And I still don't know. We don't know why things happen. But
Right.
one thing that gives me comfort is that number one, I was with her on her last day.
Amen.
I was with her. I was with her. I tried. We worked hard to save her. And you know what? God had a plan. God had another plan that there's things out of our control that we cannot control. And I had to really, really come to that and say, you know what? I can't control this. This was God's plan. And whatever it is, God's got this. One of the things I say is let go, let God. I had to let it go. I've accepted that she's gone. It'll be 3 years
Right.
tomorrow that she passed away. I've had to come to that. And what keeps me going is the memories, the gratitude of who we had surrounding us, who we still have today. And that's really what we have going is the memories and how can I share my story with others of other moms. And that's why I wrote my second book, because it was a way for me to heal, to start healing. It was to
Right.
get my story out there. And that's
And what's
really
and what's the
what
name of
I
your
found.
second book? What's
From
the name of
pain
your
to from pain to peace, a mother's heartbreaking
beautiful? Yes,
journey
show it
through
there so that
losing
we
it.
can see it.
Oh
so
yeah,
we
I'll
can
leave.
see it.
Yeah,
There
from
you
pain to
go.
peace.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
A mother's heartbreaking journey through losing a child, because I wanted other moms, and I have connected with so many other moms that we formed like a community, and that we're there to help each other. Like, you are one of the moms that when we connected on a networking group, we immediately connected when I heard your story, and I love what you're doing. And that's something that more work needs to be done for me as well, is how do we create a legacy? And in my book, I talk about creating a legacy, because I don't want
That's
people
right.
to forget her, just like you don't want
That's right.
people to forget about your daughter.
Isabella, right, brings me to mine, right?
Isabella. Yeah. Yeah. When
So
the answer is no.
when the answer is no, and it speaks to that same thing of we hope and pray for positive outcomes to situations, and sometimes we get an answer. We always get an answer, right? But we always get an answer that sometimes we don't want, and it feels like a no, and it's not a no. It's a there's a reason for the season, and we have to figure it out, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
there's help out there. One of the things that helped me overcome, and when I was asked that question about faith
Yeah.
afterwards, which I think is a cruel question, but
Yeah.
people do ask it. They're curious, right?
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
when you're still very faith filled. Was the dream that I had, and it all comes down to that one dream
Mm.
where, and I'm sure you have the same thing. Even though your daughter was older, I'm sure you cried yourself to sleep many nights,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Out of
Yes.
pure exhaustion, because if our minds wouldn't let us sleep. And it was one of these where I couldn't sleep and I cried myself to sleep, and was in this dream that felt like I was actually in it. I could still picture it. I could still see it,
Wow.
as if it really happened, where I was standing in my living room looking out the window and asking this male presence that was behind me, who I could never see but felt familiar. Um, why? Because I was very angry, just like you. Why did God take her?
Yeah.
Why did he have to take her out of all
Right.
people, right? Why?
Right.
I've
Right.
served God, I've served medicine my whole life. Why? Right? And the answer that was received was God didn't take her, he waited for her. And there's a difference.
He
And I
waited for
woke
her.
up. I woke up out of bed, took a deep breath like I had been somewhere else, and said, "Oh my God, that little tweak in perspective
Mm.
has changed my life." I woke up now able to, and I had two other children, which I wasn't present for because I was so in my grief. But from that dream, that message that I received, that he is a God that doesn't take, but actually is there to comfort, receive back
Mm.
home. Because for
That's
me,
true.
this is not home, that's home, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's something that I've, in reading more in the Bible and really having a relationship with God, it is, she's back home. She's home. She's without pain. She's no longer suffering, and she's happier,
Then we are.
and we're here on
Yeah,
earth, mourning them, but they don't want us to mourn. I think, this is
they
something that
don't.
I've learned. They don't want us to mourn. They don't want us to
No.
be sad. And this is something that I've worked on more and more, that my daughter does not want me to be unhappy. She wants me to move on, and is proud of me, I am sure, of what I've done, because I need to continue her purpose. This is something that I've learned in my own journey, and talking to people, is that my daughter's life might have been over here on earth, but I am now continuing her purpose
That's right. Her
and
legacy. The
sharing
same thing
her
I say.
legacy. Yeah, her legacy.
Her
I am
legacy.
continuing her legacy. Exactly.
The
Exactly.
lessons learned from something like this, when you have someone that is a family member, not just your child, but it's your spouse, your mom, your dad, something like that, and you lose them, right? It's not just the person going through cancer. We as a family unit are going through cancer. We have cancer, right?
Exactly.
Because
Excellent.
of all those extra things that come with that.
Yes.
We COVID, if that was something that you experienced, we
Yeah.
go through something. No one
Yeah.
goes through anything alone, right? We
No,
all go
no.
through something. Someone else is always touched by the journey, whether it's the doctor. I, as a nurse, have been touched by patients' experiences over and over again.
I
I've
know
been
you must have seen so many things.
a lot of things, especially, and you touched on that last journey. As my viewers know, I'm writing a book, right? There's an anthology coming forward that I'm co-authoring with Julia Gandhi and 15 other authors. That's
Yeah.
called Love Never Ends, and honoring that final passage. Not
Mm.
many of us have been honored to be there at the end. That brings me peace as well as yours, that we were there for our daughter's first breath and their last, right?
Exactly. We were. And I had to fight for it because that was during COVID and they didn't want me to
Yeah.
stay there. And I had to fight. And this is why in my book I talk about having a voice and using your voice to get your message out there and really share it confidently, firmly, and get your point across. And it has to, you have to share your story, you have to use your voice, and you have to be your own advocate. And I
100%.
firmly
We
believe
both
that.
learned that. We both learned that when it comes to our daughter's diagnoses, their treatments,
Oh,
their
yes.
passing. I lost my mother as well back in 2020 in the beginning,
Okay.
not of COVID, but of a massive stroke. But it's
Oh,
equally
wow.
as hard to get into the hospital because they weren't letting anybody in. So I had to
I
fight
know.
every single time. I was the only one of her children that was able to do that because I stood my ground, because I did fight, because I used everything that I knew and had
Me
and said, I'm
too.
not moving until you let me see her.
Exactly. I was the only mom that could see my daughter during COVID. When COVID first hit, no patients were allowed
No,
visitors. I got
no.
in after a month, but I got in
Yeah,
to
we
see her.
have to get in. We have to get in, and
We
we need
do.
to advocate for things like that to change in the medical field, right? To just make sure that people have the ability to be there. It's so difficult when you're not, right? It's so heart-wrenching when you're not to be able to bring peace to that. But there
Exactly.
are
And that's
ways
what
that we
brought me
can honor
peace.
them.
Yes.
Yeah,
And that's what
it
brought me
brings me
some
peace
peace. It brought me
both
some
times.
peace. It really did, to be there with her and really knowing that we spent a good night together, not knowing that she was going to be passing away the following morning, but I stayed overnight and it was a nice evening together,
Yeah,
just spending more cherishing more moments together,
absolutely.
so important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, I climbed into my daughter's crib for her final moments as well. Before the hours before that, I did the same with my mother.
Mm,
I got in bed
mm,
with her and I just stayed with
nice.
her.
That's
And
what
I
I did.
and it brings me lots of peace to know that I was able to share that energy with the both of them. And I think a lot of people, don't be afraid to do that, right? Don't be afraid to do that. Honor that final passage. And that's what we're doing with the book, is to dispel those myths and to make you less afraid of something that we're all going to go through.
Exactly.
We're all going to go through it. And
We're
we
all
have
going
the
to go through
ability
it.
sometimes to control some of that, right? Sometimes we can't. But you know
Hmm.
what? In with that is, make every day the potential. It could be your last day or their last day. Be aware of what you say. Be aware of the energy that you bring, so that you honor every person, every day, every minute. It's hard,
Absolutely. It is
right? And I
hard.
know that you've lived your life differently that way as well, right?
Yes.
What are some
Yes.
tips and tools that you can share for our viewers to help through those moments?
To help through the moments when you're going through challenging times.
Yeah, challenging times. Yeah. What do
Yeah,
you
I
use?
mean,
What's a tool in your
I,
toolbox?
all right. So a tool is gratitude. I write down what I'm grateful for. I really do more breathing exercises. Meditation is something that I've been now applying more consistently, and really connecting with the right people, having a support around you. Surround yourself with the right people that are there to help you, that want to, really want to help you be your friends. Is
Right.
really important. It really is the people that you surround yourself with. And again, it's my faith, my praying. I read the Bible every day. What keeps me going is that. And self-care, like I said, we've got to take care of ourselves, eating right, drinking water, and really, no matter what we go through, there's always something to be grateful for. I'm grateful I woke up this morning. That's one thing I'm grateful for. But I'm grateful I do have a son. He is, I had two children. He
Right.
is so important to me. I have a husband. My parents are still alive. I have beautiful family that care about me, that are there for me. And I have great business, colleagues and mentors and coaches that are really there. And I've surrounded myself with a lot of spiritual Christians, people that
Surrounding
are there
yourself with heart-centered individuals,
with heart
right?
centered.
Yeah, faith
Yes.
is one thing, and faith in, it doesn't matter what religion you are. Religion is completely different from faith,
Oh,
right?
yes.
And it's
Absolutely.
having your support systems. One of the things I also teach is having support systems, knowing what works for you. What works for you may not work for me, but if you have multiple, and the same thing that did work for you in one circumstance may not work in the other,
That's
right?
right. That's right. Yeah.
And I'm sure that's
Yeah.
one of the things that you coach people on, is making sure that you have several resources that you can pull from.
That's right, exactly. And so I help them really, like, I focus helping them with their mindset. What's keeping them stuck? What's preventing them from moving forward? What are those blocks that they have? Why do they have fear? What is the fear that they have? And how can you overcome that and move forward in spite of fear? Because it is fear. We had fear. I've had fear many times, but I've moved through it. I didn't keep me stuck and stay. Because here's the thing that I've learned, in this journey, I can either take the bitter road or the better road.
That's right.
And
That's
I've
right. I say that all
decided,
the time.
yeah. And
Be
I've learned
better.
that from someone else he lost his son and his wife in 2-year period. And he's on a journey himself with helping with substance abuse. Drug overdose was the cause of
Yeah.
why his son passed away. And in talking on a podcast like this, he's the one that really shared that. And I said, you know what? That really makes a lot of sense. I
Heck
could
yeah.
have been bitter or better. And I choose to be better. What can I do differently every day? What can I do better? How can I help someone else
That's
in
right.
this journey?
Listen, I talk about we're here for a purpose, and that's growing our souls, right? So everything we go through, we grow through.
We
So
grow
we're
through.
growing. We're growing our souls. Every day is a new opportunity to learn a lesson and grow from that. Help others to teach that same lesson, so it's not as hard for them as it was for us to go through that. But
That's
at the
right.
end of our lives, our souls now have grown immensely, right? And we're ready to reap the benefits of that on the other side.
Yes.
One
Yes.
of the last things I want to talk about is something that I always talk about is resilience.
Mm.
When people talk about the things that you've gone through, I'm sure they say, "Oh my God, how strong you are." They love how strong you are, and I absolutely freaking hate that word.
I know. I've had that too. Like, oh my God, I so
Mm,
admire your courage. And I so
courage
admire
and
your
strength,
resilience,
and I'm like,
strength.
no, no, no,
I'm
no,
like,
strength. So
yeah,
I want to hear your perspective on this, because I say it's not strength, because that says that someone else who's going the exact same thing that I am. Let's say you and me, we both lost children, same thing to the
right,
same thing.
right,
If
right.
one of us doesn't respond the same way, does that make you weak? No,
No, it doesn't make you weak.
right? It doesn't make you weak.
It doesn't make you weak. But I think when I think of resilience is how you navigate through the challenges. How do you
That's
pivot?
right.
How do you get through it? What are the tools? Again, what are the tools that keep me going to stay resilient? Am
Right.
I courageous? Yeah, there's times that I don't want to be courageous. I want to,
Yeah.
it's okay to, something that I've learned is feel your feelings. I used to always be strong. I used to have a mask on, having people think that I was, the strong one. In my family, I had this image. Everybody thinks, well, Tina's strong. Tina can get through anything. This is the image that I
Yeah,
wasn't
that people see
portrayed.
us and they think that. Yeah, we portray a fearless attitude,
I know,
right?
but I said, no, you know what? There's day like because I really shared that with people. Maybe, but you know what? I said, no, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's
Absolutely.
okay to show your feelings. It's okay to cry. Because you cry doesn't make you weak. You
That's
got to
right.
be in the moment. You got to feel your emotions. If you're going to feel sad for today, feel sad for today.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is another day. But what are you feeling right now? Like I know today, it's July 1st. My daughter passed away. Tomorrow will be 3 years. I remember
Wow.
today on what we did was our last day together in the hospital. Today was the day that I had a fight with the president of the hospital to stay. And I remember that. And
Mhm.
so am I sad about it? Well, I'm sad in the sense that my daughter didn't, she lived 37. God bless, she did live at 37. I got 37 years
Right.
of her. So I'm grateful for that. Okay. And we had a good relationship. We traveled, we taught, she was my friend,
Yeah.
a good friend. We shared like really, like we talked multiple times a day. All right. And that loss was deep, and so, but I get through it. I get through it. Grief never goes away. You cope with it.
Thank you. Thank you.
It never
It
goes
just
away.
changes. It just morphs into something else. It's
It
something that we
changes.
learn to live with,
We
right?
learn to live with like we learn to live with it and we cope with it every day, one day at a time, put one foot ahead, and we do the best that we can do. And it makes us it's a new normal. it
Mhm.
changes you and really shifts your perspective. Like I take life so much different now than I
Yeah.
did 3 years ago. I did. I really do. I mean, I value the present moment. I cherish the present moment more than I did before. More
Right.
grateful for the things that I have. Not the things that I don't have.
Right. And you brought
You
up a
know.
very good question that we both asked ourselves is the why me, right?
Yeah.
And that whole why me, why us, why, then all of a sudden I started to answer that to myself with a why not me?
Why
What
not
makes
me? I've
me
heard that too.
think, what makes me think that I am so darn special that I should have nothing bad happen to me? Both my grandmothers lost children, right? This is something that is more common than people think, right?
It
So
is
they
more
lost
common.
children, both tragically, right? They lost their daughters in tragic ways. And how am I any different than them? Did they do anything? No, they didn't do anything that made them cause this. So then my perspective, once again, to perspective change and said, why not me? The for me, I'm a Catholic, and the Blessed Mother, who else,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
She had to
Yep.
walk alongside her son as he was killed.
Exactly.
So why? What makes me think that I'm better than her, that nothing bad should happen, right? So it's again back to your faith and saying, no, it's not a why me question. It's a what do I do with this now question.
Exactly. What do I do with this now? What is my purpose now? Because what I
Yeah,
see is a shift in my own purpose. Like I've been helping women with their careers, finding their passion. However, maybe there's going to be a shift in something else that God will direct me to. Maybe there's something else that I'm going to be doing. I really want to get more into helping moms with grief and not being a grief counselor, therapist, anything like
right.
that, but how can I help you overcome this? Because in our lives, we go through challenges. And I'm so grateful that I was an entrepreneur when my daughter was going through this, because that's another thing. I wasn't working at a job. I was on my own, and I was able to spend time with her every day while building my business.
Right.
Priceless.
What a blessing. What a blessing.
Priceless. It is a blessing. It was a blessing because if I was working for a job, I would have probably had to quit because I would have been able to take the time off to take care of her,
Right.
and so grateful for that. So I am very grateful for being an entrepreneur because it gives us the freedom, it gives us flexibility. We're able to spend time with our family. We're able to do the things that we probably might not be able to do working for the corporate world. But it's, again, align yourself with the right corporate job.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Be your own advocate. Make sure that they're like just like you said, that their views align with yours, right? That your
Yes,
purpose aligns with their purpose so that you're in the
exactly.
right place at the right
Exactly.
time. I work
Yeah.
for Brandywine Living and I'm giving them a shout out because when I went through my journey, I was a nurse for them. They allowed me to be able to care for my daughter when I had to, right? And were very extremely supportive of that whole thing. And when I had to stop working, it was because of a town of strangers who didn't even know me, but knew of what I was going through that got together and raised funds so that I could maintain my household. So
Nice.
the kindness of
Nice.
strangers as well, and being able to accept that was hard for me to do, accept help from others.
Oh,
And
me
I
too.
and I and I had to, right? And I'm so blessed because of that. And that's why I now want to bring it forward. And that's what Izzy's Legacy Incorporated is about, is a nonprofit organization to give back just like people gave to me. So it's, bringing that full circle moment back
Mm,
now.
yeah.
So,
Great things you're doing.
oh my God, thank you so much. All in the
Oh,
name of
thank you.
Isabella.
Yes, it
so,
is. And I love that name, Isabella.
so Tina, this is the question that I ask all of my guests, and that is, how do you define success?
Yes. And so success is so broad because it is different for everybody. But for
Yes.
me, if when I have peace, security, I'm making a difference for others, if I'm making an impact in other people's lives, it's successful. Money to me is not the success. The money will come, but it's a byproduct. But for me, first and foremost, it's having that peace, that security, that great family around you, great
Right.
friends around you to support you, that you're not alone, isolated, and really making an impact, making a difference for someone else. If I can do that, that's being successful.
Amen. Beautiful, beautiful
Amen.
response. Thank you for that.
Thank
Tina,
you.
Thank you for coming on my show.
Thank
I
you.
loved this episode. And for my viewers, I will see you next time.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gabrielle Morales, and I am a recruitment coordinator for Be the Match. My journey with Be the Match actually began when I was only 9 years old. At that point, my 7-month-old baby sister was diagnosed with an extremely rare form of leukemia. Through the Be the Match registry, we were able to find a matching donor for my sister. And although a few months later we lost her cancer was cured. Our family is so thankful for the additional months that we had with my sister. And ever since then, I've made a promise to myself to dedicate my life to helping children just like Isabella and helping families like ours by continuing her legacy. Hence why I now work for Be the Match. I love what I do so much, and I'm able to spread awareness about the huge need for more donors on the registry, especially those of diverse backgrounds. There is currently a huge disparity within the registry for minority patients, and we need your help. It is so simple to save a life and to be put on the registry. You can visit izzy'slegacy.com or text Izzy's Legacy to the number 61474 to start the registration process to be on the Be the Match registry, to hopefully be a life-saving match for a searching patient in need.